Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
So today we're going to talk about buskers in Grafton Street and the changes from what I remember in the 1980s to the present situation at the moment. Okay, in the 1980s we had a lot of acoustics, a lot of impoverished buskers. The unemployment in Ireland, when I was first noticing buskers, would have been at about 17 to 20%. And of course, the at the beginning of the video there, I spoke with Maura Una Begley. She's a lovely lady and she plays the accordion. She's been playing it for years. I've passed her on the street for years, but I spoke to her for the first time. But so that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about this problems with amplification on the street, that the acoustic player, the traditional Irish music cannot be heard anymore. And this is an issue because they're playing too loud.
Exactly. And there
So
was plenty of them years ago, and they were lovely.
yeah.
Heard
So the general consensus, anyway, from the traditional musician on the street, is that when you have these young guitar players and they have microphones and these large speakers and they're competing with each other, okay, that it drowns out the acoustic player. So we have lost on Grafton Street. We have lost the quartets. There was lovely quartets there. You'd have the cello, the violin, etc.
That's right. I remember them. They were
Yeah.
lovely and lovely music, and you could hear it. You know when you were up at it, but it didn't. But it wasn't loud from the point of view of too much amplification. So and now we're just are we doing the video now at the minute?
Yeah, we're live
is
now.
that oh right, okay. So now the business of amplifiers, I think there's obviously different strengths in these amplifiers. So they're trying to reduce it, but I think the solution is, and I've heard this from sources, is have it no more than 20 volume, whatever you call 20
Yeah.
amp.
Okay. So what we
It
were
can
talking
go
about,
up.
yeah, what we were talking about earlier on there is like at the moment they've set the decibels, okay, and one musician said to me, she said that they go around measuring decibels. There's no point. Well, your ear measures your decibels, right? But what you're suggesting there, it's a very good solution, John, is to reduce the wattage of the speaker so that maybe they would only be allowed to have a 20-watt speaker and anything bigger than that wouldn't be allowed on the street. The problem is they're bringing in
That's
these.
that's a very sensible solution, and
Yeah.
it's the solution that should apply not just in Grafton Street but anywhere where there's buskers, because they're down in Temple Bar and it's causing problems for residents in that street as well, and probably residents in the vicinity of Grafton Street. I mean, there are shops there that depend on the sort of people that frequent Grafton Street, and those shops should be paying a high rent unless they happen to own it, which is very doubtful. So the rent can be high, so they need customers and so on and so forth. And too much noise is not conducive to be able to deal with customers. So there's a variety of things. So the straight answer, and the authorities, assuming that they have something between their ears here, we'll call a brain, that they would be sensible enough to allow no more than that wattage. And then that would solve the problem by way of noise. It would be far better if they played their music without all this amplification that they seem to need. It wasn't a feature in Grafton Street down the years. It's a fairly recent phenomenon, and it's not a good. Too much noise. I mean, there's a song there, "Silence is Golden," and without a doubt, it's something that I've noticed in other places besides Grafton Street, that this noise that's not necessary. The people that do things for whatever reason, they want to sort of look at the noise and the interference with what people are doing. I mentioned in Knock that there was noise by way of amplifiers coming from wherever it was, probably the Basilica, and it just interfered with whatever you were doing elsewhere. and
Yeah.
it should be just banned,
So as I say,
that kind of thing. But we're talking about Grafton Street. We're talking about noise is a problem in the world today with people not respecting others. Grafton Street should be for all buskers that have a bit of talent that don't need all this amplification and this noise that is presently there. They've done something about it, but how is it going to be implemented and so on and so forth? There should be some rules that people that break the rules as regards noise, three strikes and they're out altogether.
yeah,
Will not
absolutely.
be allowed to play again because of their disobedience. I mean, I can't understand the type of individual that needs all this noise. I
This is
intend to do a bit of busking in Grafton Street. I hope I'll have
very good.
some musical accompaniment, not amplification, thank you very much. And I'll be singing hymns and maybe an odd old time ballad, for example, about the Dublin Samper, the old
Very
person
good.
made it famous,
You're going
and
to.
stuff like that. So that'll be one item that we intend to do. And the hat or the basket will be passed around in due course, and people will be encouraged to sort of donate and just not keep their pocket, the money in their pocket without parting from a bit. And silent collections will be most welcome. So these are the sort of things that we intend to do, but we don't intend to be drowned out. I might have to march down the street myself and sort of I'll wrap that loudspeaker around your neck if you know,
John
in a
Malone,
nice
that's
way.
not very Christian for God's sake.
No, I'm talking about noise because,
Decorum,
you know,
please.
I want to be able to hear that when we walk up Grafton Street, if I have company walking up and say we're having a chat and we're having about, I marched up here, I might say, 30, 40 years ago, this, that, or the other, and I used to go to a film. There was cartoons, and I love cartoons, and they had a cinema in Grafton Street that specialised in cartoons. So yours truly would be making for there. And as I went into the cartoons, I was greeted with music on my way up. So I was in fairly goodish humour. Get me
Very
drift.
good. I do.
So these are the sort of great gifts that we have when we can have a conversation as we march up Grafton Street and hear singers and all the rest of it. But we don't want them shouting. We're not at the RDS at a concert where we're paying money to go in and then hear somebody up above and have all the equipment for so as to be heard with a big audience. You know. And
Mhm.
so, but Grafton Street is not the RDS. It's a venue for musicians, and I mean musicians, not ones with amplifiers. I don't regard them as musicians in the full sense of the word. Big play your music and stop
Yeah, I mean,
making a racket.
so the thing is, look, there's many solutions. One simple solution you've mentioned there is basically to reduce the size of the speaker that it can only be 20 watts or 30 watts, that it can't be 100 watts. That's a very, very, very good simple solution.
20 watts would be enough. And I presume then ones that might be hard to hear them will be able to hear them. But there's not too many ones going up Grafton Street that's hard to hear them. My ears is fairly good, and so on and so forth. So there's no point in going up Grafton Street if you have a thing in your ear because you're hearing you have to talk on that side. So you might see a person in this way.
The
This
other thing,
side.
of course, the other thing we were talking about as well is that maybe they could dedicate half the street to acoustics and half the street to electronics. There's many solutions, you
Oh
know.
no! The 20 watt is enough for them to be making a bit of more noise than if they didn't have anthem.
Yeah.
Uh, the preference is to be able to sing would do this business of amplifiers to be able to play your music and music to hear the people playing a violin properly and not using plugged in and look as if they're playing the violin and they wouldn't be playing it at all.
Yeah, very good,
Because
very
these
good.
are the same gimmicks. And
Yes.
so we want people to be able to show their expertise because the ones that used to sing the three and four in harmony, they were playing music and they could play music. They weren't using any amplifiers and it was very pleasant. It was lovely. I heard some lovely music up that street, kind of nearly classical as well.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I often lament the buskers of the 1980s and 1990s because they were a different. There was no social media back then, okay? There was no Facebooks, there was no YouTube or anything like that. But the thing about it was, what made the buskers different of the 1980s and the 1990s is there was more of a communal spirit, and they shared the street, they played together, but they often shared the money as well. What you see nowadays, okay, is that you got these youngsters, pure vanity. They just want to create hysteria on social media. They want the platform, which is Grafton Street, for themselves, and they want to be heard, and they want to be heard loud. So,
And you see, that's selfish, and you really the best way to be in life is to be have respect for others, not just thinking of your own advancement all the time. As you go through life, it's a very wrong way to be just me, me, me.
I suppose
Forget about
what differentiates the buskers from the 80s, 90s as well as the buskers in the 80s and 90s, they just wanted to be a busker, whereas the buskers of today, they want to be stars. So,
that. Yeah, they have a different agenda,
yeah,
and I think, quite frankly, older folk have the experience and respect for others. The younger ones suffer from don't have that. They just want to be famous overnight, as if like that's the be all, and it's not.
yeah,
Fame doesn't, money, excess money, or this, that, or the other, does not bring any kind of joie de vivre, happiness, or joy. Uh, Doing something for others is what gives joy, not taking it yourself all the time. So that's the important thing. And I think that that would be the message I'd be saying to these people. But at the same time, the authorities, if they have anything here, should be able to insist on that and don't make any allowances for this business of noise. I mean, when I walk up Grafton Street, I don't want my ears assaulted. I want to be able to walk up and hear people playing an accordion without all this amplification, and you can hear the notes and see the what would I call it, the gift that they have, you know. My sister, my wife's Julie's her sister Koch had a great gift of being able to play by ear anything, piano or that. But for some reason, she suffered from the reverse of what these ones have. She didn't want to sort of be playing these things in case that she was nearly like a man or something. Now, some people suffer from I don't know what, but if I have a talent, I like to use it. And as best I can, we all have talents in different ways. And but the people that's making the noise, it want to be sort of spoken to nicely that you know cool it down. And but aside from that, they want to be the rules 20, 20 decibel, whatever it is, and that's enough because they'll be heard more than the person that's not using any of that kind of contraptions. You can hear what they're doing and playing. Now, I mean, that's common sense. The authorities don't seem capable of sometimes doing something sensible and putting those kind of rules in. And there's
yeah,
no point in sort of saying 75 or whatever it is, because that sounds loud to me.
it does indeed. So, look, I suppose, look, what we need really is a return of the quartets, jazz music, traditional music, okay? Because I tell you what
Yeah,
it adds a certain je ne sais quoi to the Grafton Street, whereas electronic
yeah,
music brings down the tone of the street, really. It brings up the
it
volume, but
does.
down the
It's
tone.
all gimmicks, and they're playing as if they're playing, but they're not playing. It's all plugged in, and they look as if they're playing something, and they wouldn't have a clue. So it's false,
Yeah.
and their talent is only dependent on what way acoustics they have and what way. You haven't heard of this business when people were singing in venues like maybe pubs or whatever it was. They could, I can't think of the word now, quite frankly, but they could sound very good, the singer, because there was some system that their voice become kind of nearly like a tenor. You have to heard of a tenor.
You're talking about auto tune.
Yeah, correct and right. You have
Yes.
the word there.
Hmm. But John
Yeah,
Malone,
you'd have that.
can I ask you, you won't be using auto tune now on your performance because you're doing your first debut on Grafton Street. I'm assisting you with this. I think you're going to be a superstar, okay? You'll be competing with Ali Sherlock and all the rest of the greats on Grafton Street. Are you ready for it?
Oh, I certainly am because I like to follow in their footsteps. And now, as I, over the years, marched up Grafton Street and many a time going back, when I was a young whippersnapper. And there's an example of the sort that it was. You see
Oh,
that?
oh, that's you.
That's me. And what's behind me there?
Is that Notre Dame? Notre
Correct and
Dame.
right.
Very good.
So I was at that racket, standing there, and behind another down behind me. So
Uh,
it was in the genes, as the fellow says, the
but
DNA.
were you singing?
Well, I suppose I wasn't because I had I had a curiosity to go places and see things. But now, as I say, because of the memory that I have of Gravel Street, which was marvelous, but I don't remember anybody singing hymns.
Yeah.
Now, bar, I'm not talking about the Salvation Army. I never liked their type of, no disrespect, of course, that had a mournful sound kind
Mhm.
of thing. And I'm not too keen on that type of thing. But I'd like, for example, to be accompanied by a bit of music in some way. Not artificial, playing something, whatever you might play, and I don't know, will have to be a little loudspeaker. When I say a loudspeaker, just something that can hold and yell or sing. And I might then
Very
sing
good.
an odd, ordinary song like the
You
Dublin
might.
song for
The
our
Dublin Saunter. Very good. I
National
want to
Artists Band
tell
or
you,
something.
I want to tell you a nice story, okay? Before we finish up on this video, it's a bit to do with Grafton Street and my niece. I think I might have told you before, but anyway, so my niece Emily, when she was 8 years of age, she always wanted me. I said to her, "Look, I'll bring you if you do your piano lessons on a Saturday. I'll bring you there, and as long as you do your piano lesson, you can have any restaurant you want on a Saturday in the city centre." Okay, and so what we used to do was she's now going on to be a sociologist, a social care worker, and you could see that that's what she was going to be as a little child. I'll tell you why. Because so what we used to do was we'd arrive into Grafton Street, we'd walk around a little bit of the city first, and I'd have to bring about 30, 40, 50 euros of change to give because Emily, I discovered, wanted to give money to the whole world. Okay. She'd say to me, Ollie, can you give that beggar over there some money? Oh, please give him money. Look at the sad look.
I'm good.
Wait till
Yeah,
you hear, wait
yeah.
till you hear, yeah. She says, can you look at the sad little face on him? Okay. And I said, okay, I'll do that. Okay, okay. And then she'd say, the next person, I have to give them money. And it'd go on and on and on. But she'd appreciate an appreciation of music, which was amazing, like myself. And I said, okay. I said, Emily, if we keep giving away money, we'll have no money for the restaurant. Okay. And then she says to me, don't give away any more money. Okay. And then, so what happened then was I said, okay. She says, I tell you what, she says, I have €5 in my purse. She says, she's only 8 years old, and it was folded into a perfect square, and it had been there for 3 months. Okay, she was holding it for something special. So she says, I €5. Why don't we walk up Grafton Street and then walk all the way back down? And I'll give my €5 to the best busker. Okay? So we went along anyway, and she'd say, no, not him, not him, not him. Then we went to the top of the street, turned around, came back down. Very end of the street, there was an African man. Okay, and he wasn't playing music. And she says, I like him. And I said, okay. She says, he's getting my fiver. And I said, why would you give him a fiver when he's not even singing? He's not even playing an instrument. Okay. What he was doing was he had a knife in his mouth, a big bow knife. Okay. He had a football on top of the knife and he had a bottle balancing on top of that, you see? And I said to her, she says, he's still a busker. She says, he's just not playing music. He's doing an act, she says, okay? And I said, but why won't you give it to a musician? Because I wanted her to give the fiver to a musician. And she says, because he can do what the rest of them can't do. And I thought, wow, 8 years of age.
God Almighty, yeah. There was some good spark there. And where is she living? She's living
She was
in
living in
Dublin or something.
Kildare, and she went on now. She's basically studying to be a social work, and you could see
Right. Is
that.
that the little one that did the reading for your Aunt
Yes,
Mary?
the one you were impressed with. That's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Little blonde girl.
Uh,
She's very, very good, and she's doing well. As I say, you could see that she was going to be a social worker at that age because she genuinely cared for all these poor people. She could identify at 8 years of age who could do something different, even though the rest were very talented musicians. She could see that this man, this African man, was doing something.
Congratulate her. She, she had uh, she had a generous streak for the down and outs,
Hmm.
and that's a marvelous streak to have. She's a little saint, in my opinion, and she has a vocation now. She's going to be a social worker because there'll be plenty to do for that. There's a lot of people needing help. Their poor lives are gone astray. They could be in bad families or something like that, or bullied or whatever it is, because people encounter all sorts of things in their life, don't they? And it can be a cruel world for some, and they need help and a good ear to listen to and a bit of calm advice. I think that's great. My cousin, my cousin's daughter, Rachel, she's into that kind of thing. I think she works in the HSE and Clonski, and she would be dealing with with people that have psychological problems, and it's
Yeah.
not it's sometimes it happens because of the troubles that they encountered in their lives, maybe other neglect. It doesn't happen just like that. It's often caused by external forces that when they're young, they're not able to, obviously, haven't got to be able to deal with it, but it leaves a mark.
Yeah. So
So
anyway,
it's a good, hopefully it does well.
I when I was talking to Maureen, Maura, sorry, Maura Una Nibegli, um,
Yeah.
she gave me two of her albums, and like
Hugely.
traditional Irish music wouldn't be something that I've really delved into, okay? But I've been listening to the two albums in my car, okay? But what I
Yeah.
love is the names of the songs, okay? So one of the songs here is called Fairies Hornpipe Rights of Man, okay? Another is called Out of the
Brilliant.
Ocean. Um, there's another one, Set Dance King of the Fairies. This is real.
There's
This
a bit of imagination there, so there is,
this
and
is it.
I'd love to hear them myself, and in due course, because they're CDs, are they?
They're CDs. Now the thing is, there's another song here, and it's the phrase is quite amusing. It says, "Haste to the wedding." So it was- then
Eight at the wedding.
haste to the wedding, mother of God. And then there's another one here, barn dance and fling. And something green grow the rushes and the magic. And there's one here, Golan, Paddy Spillans, and Magic Slipper. It's all stuff that's well forgotten in Ireland, that
Is and
it's
it's
amazing.
lovely to my way of thinking. It
Mystical.
has a sort of it has an uplifting sound to me
Yeah.
because of the way what she's phrased. So she has a good fertile imagination, and really that's a gift.
Yeah,
And
she's look
those titles that you've let out there, it's just they're just priceless.
yeah.
I'd love to hear one of them in due
I'll
course.
give you a listen one day when you're up, of course when you're up doing your busking, of course. So we're going to see you anyway on the street busking your debut, as we say, and it's going to be wonderful because you'll bring a kind of an acoustic, something acoustic to the street. That's
Well, of course, and it'll be a novel experience for some that they mightn't have perhaps attended a church, or but even if they did, you won't hear music. I do a bit of hymns in the evening, with hymns that I just don't hear now, and which is a pity because I don't know what's wrong with those responsible for these things that they wouldn't have that in their what would they call it in their DNA, that they want to hear this type of uplifting type hymns, because they are. So I'm singing them every every evening. Sometimes the same ones with Lady Enoch and Sweetheart with Jesus. So because it's repetition that people can depend on. If you keep changing things, they don't know where they are.
no,
You
you're
know what I'm
talking.
saying?
So
You want
there
to
you
hear
go.
something good.
Hopefully, we've given a few solutions there to the government or whoever the legislators are. Reduce the size of the speaker, keep it a standard size. Maybe designate more acoustic areas of the street where the acoustics sound much better. You know, um, and hopefully
Yeah,
the
well,
the
anyway, it should be no more than 20 kV because it's interfering with other people that don't use that kind of old. Those that are using it, to me, have much talent, and
yeah, yeah.
they're doing all sorts of things with equipment and that, and must cost a fortune. And I don't know who pays for it, but it doesn't sound good to me. You know, a little something that you can be heard more than what you might be singing. Whatever we have, is simple ourselves. It won't be any of this amplification and all this old nonsense.
Hmm.
I want to be heard. I want to hear the singing, and it'll be singing. It won't be used with some equipment to make it sound different. It'll be just the way it is, the way I sing here.
Very good, very good. Thank you very
There's no
much.
music or rather.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oliver. Bye now.
I know.